What is good, maniacs and bookworms alike? I am your lovely host, Media Fiend, and welcome to another episode of Media Fiend Book Club, where we sit back, we talk books, and we just discuss and just have a good time, just like a book club. Well, that's what it's called, Media Fiend Book Club. But anyways, let's just get right to it. If you saw last week's episode, I had my first DNF. My first did not finish, and that was A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. And you heard my spiel about it last week, but this week we're jumping into something different. I picked, as you saw in the last book, I picked Stephen King's horror classic, Pet Semetary. And before I get into the review, let me give you the synopsis of the story here. It says, when Dr. Lewis Creed takes a new job and moves his family into an idyllic and rural town of Ludlow, Maine, this new beginning seems too good to be true. Yet despite Ludlow's tranquility, there's an undercurrent of danger that exists here. Those trucks on the road outside the Creed's beautiful old home travel by just a little too quickly, for one thing, as is evidenced by the makeshift pet cemetery out back in the nearby woods. Then there are the warnings to Lewis, both real and from the depths of his nightmares, that he should not venture beyond the borders of that little graveyard. A bone-chilling truth is hidden there, one more terrifying than death itself. A hideously more powerful and ominous fate befalls anyone who dares to tamper with this forbidden place, as Dr. Lewis is about to discover for himself. Now, with that out of the way, what can your boy say about the Pet Semetary? Wow. This book is incredible. Now, I'm telling you, for somebody who has an unhealthy, unnatural fear of death, this book really haunts you. As you know, your boy Media Fiend is petrified of the concept of death. Like, I'm very, very, very terrified of what comes after death. I'm terrified of death. Unfortunately, it comes for us all, but that's not what this channel is about. But that's what this book is about. So, as I read to you, it's about this doctor who takes this job in town, and where he moves to, the road is just trucks flying up and down all the time. Well, he has a neighbor who ends up becoming his best friend, and his name's Judd Crandall. He's a cool dude. Like, he seems like one of the coolest guys in fiction. And his wife, which in the movie you don't see his wife, like, she's already passed in the movie or whatever, but in the book she actually plays a big part in the book, and she's in it for like half the book at least. And Norma is her name, and she's not seen in a movie at all. And anyway, I'm getting off subject here. So they befriend the Creeds, and he takes them back there. He says, he tells them the story of Pet Semetary. He tells them about the road, and then later in the book, it gets real because their cat, Winston Churchill or Church, ends up getting killed in the road because he gets hit by a car or a truck. And so while Lewis's family is with his in-laws for Thanksgiving, him and Judd take Church to the Pet Semetary, but like deeper into the woods of the Pet Semetary, and they bury him and he comes back to life. Well, later in the book, Gage, which they show it in the movie, and in the book it's more like flashbacks, but in the book and in the movie, if you've seen it, Gage ends up getting hit by a truck. He ends up running into the road while a truck's coming, and he ends up getting killed. Okay. And there's a big funeral procession. His father-in-law, Lewis's father-in-law, fights him at the funeral. Like, it's just horrible. Like, the mood of the book really changed. And so Throughout the second half of the book, Lewis is basically having an internal discussion with himself, like, okay, we brought Church back. Can we bring Gage back? Will Gage be Gage, or will Gage be something else? Because Judd had told a story that one time someone was buried up there, and when they came back, they weren't them. So Lewis has to make the decision, and ultimately Lewis makes the decision to take Gage up and bury him. And Gage comes back, and it just goes crazy. He's not the Gage that he thought he was. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the details, the super details, but I definitely recommend you read this book. Now, if you're like me and you have an unnatural, unhealthy fear of death, it will stick with you. This is a book that's the premise of the book is death. And it's a very strong premise. And I do like one thing that Judd says that kind of almost brings peace to it. He says, death is where the pain ends and the good memories begin. So that's one way to look at it. That kind of helped me through the book. But all in all, I'm going to have to give this a 4.5 out of 5. Fantastic book, creepy. The ending in itself was just insane. Now, if you've seen the movie and you haven't read the book, the movie does take some liberties that the book don't have. The movie adds, but I do think that the book is better. So, yeah, Pet Semetary, 4.5 out of 5. Definitely pick it up. But like I said, if you have a phobia of death, it will stick with you and it will haunt you a little bit. So just be forewarned that's it's going to stick with you. So, all right. Now that that's over, I needed something to kind of wash the palate out of that because that was a heavy book. So I decided I was going to go another route that was still kind of horror, but kind of like a horror. I don't want to say horror comedy, but like it's horror, but it has lightness to it, if that makes any sense. And that is Supernatural, The Witch's Canyon. And why I say the lightness is because Dean and Sam Winchester. Dean is just funny, like all the time. So, but yeah, I got this. This is the next one on the list, and this is Sam and Dean have set out on a road trip to the Grand Canyon, but this is no vacation for the brothers. On a stretch of deserted ranch land just beyond the canyon's stunning visuals, mysterious murder sprees have occurred every 40 years. The area's inhabitants have been few and far between in the past years, but a nearby mega mall is about to celebrate its grand opening and attract thousands of fresh victims. The Winchester boys are determined to protect locals and shoppers alike, but they never anticipated they'd be fighting a group of killers this vicious, this vindictive, this dead. A deadly horde of animal spirits and human ghosts has arisen to terrorize this tiny corner of the Arizona desert. If Sam and Dean can't figure out why, the wide open spaces of the West will once again become a desolate frontier, and the Witch's Canyon will be the brothers' final resting place. Supernatural, The Witch's Canyon. I am hella excited to read this. I hear these books are like lost episodes, and I'm a huge Supernatural fan, so yeah, I needed something to wash my palate out a little bit. So, all right then. All right, guys. Well, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's Media Fiend Book Club. Thank you for coming by. As always, until we meet again, I love you guys. Thank you guys. Don't forget, grab yourself a good book, cozy up, be chill, and we out. And don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. It's free. And then you get to spread the book club to everyone. All right, guys. I love y'all. See y'all later. Peace.